Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Doris. I'm here to share with you about my stock account and today's market update. Today's net asset of my account is 72,248.32. Today I've made a gain of 0.7678% to $555.9. Today Apple has closed up 0.18%, SQQQ closed down 0.15%, S&P 500 closed up SPY closed up 0.07%, and United Natural Gas closed up 8.43%. Recently, the United Natural Gas has been performing relatively more volatile, and let's take a look at its performance recently. We can see that the closing up in each usually before noon and the early transaction hours, the stock is likely to close up rather than getting price adjusted in the later hours of the trading day, and this has to do with the recent market news upon natural resources and the government regulations, especially on the international gasoline prices. And we'll be covering about that later in another episode. But today, let's talk about the market. Dow Jones closed down 0.31%, Nasdaq closed up 0.02%, and S&P 500 closed up 0.08%. Today, information technology has closed up 2.3%. Auto manufacturers closed down 2.41%. And today, let's talk about the recent investor report of Q4 financial performance of BlackRock. Recently, it is the season for the Q4 financial report, and investors have been keeping a relatively less optimistic point of view for their stock performance. On January 12th, BlackRock showed that the Q4 total revenue was $4.63 billion, up 7% year-on-year, basically consistent with the forecast. The net profit was 9% on the year, and the adjusted earnings per share was $9.66, exceeding market expectations, and also the performance of last year. The data shows that the BlackRock's clients in the fourth quarter of last year, the agency issued long-term investment funds to BlackRock's all kinds of long-term ETF and other fund products. Investment scale increased to $63 billion. It shows that in the global stock market and bond market, asset value soared, and investors have money to put in the stock market now. Also, clients added about $33 billion in the fourth quarter of the company's independently managed cash management business and money market funds, suggesting that the asset management giant is increasingly positioning itself as a global one-stop investment service provider. Overall, global investors invested about $88 billion in all of BlackRock's ETF in the fourth quarter, and about $32 billion in all of their fixed income funds. BlackRock's performance is especially significant because, as a financial service company, its revenue can sometimes hint the investor expectations and their prospects for the performance. And so this comes after BlackRock's global customers withdrew about $13 billion from long-term funds in the third quarter of 2023. In the last 3 months, the situation reversed quickly as investors concluded that the Fed would stop raising interest rate and shift to a cycle this year. The stock and bond rebounded in most markets around the world, triggering a surge of buying money. Most importantly, BlackRock's massive fund inflows and rise in the value of equity and bond assets put its total asset under management slightly above $10 trillion, fully consolidating its title as the world's largest asset institution. Such large asset management scale puts BlackRock at the forefront of global asset management, which even exceeds the GDP of most countries in the world. By business, BlackRock Q4 investment consulting and administrative expenses revenue was $3.448 billion, compared with $3.26 billion a year earlier. Margin revenue was $157 million, compared with $139 million a year earlier. Revenue was $311 million, compared with $228 million a year earlier. This shows that compared to the end of the last year, where the Fed was surging its interest rates at 75 percentage points at once, so the investors' sentiment has been rising significantly due to the realistic impact of the decrease of CPI. This is all I have for today. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and see you next episode.